Chiederei se è pronto anche l'intervento della direttrice for Digital Society Innovation and Cybersecurity, sempre dell'European Commission, quindi passiamo, scusate, dal Parlamento Europeo alla European Commission e in particolar modo DG Connect. Diamo un caloroso benvenuto a Lorena Boix Alonso.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting the European Commission to this event. It is an important event because it is an important subject. Today there is a lot going on in terms of cybersecurity policy in the European Union, and this is not surprising because there are a number of events and circumstances that are having an impact in our policy. Let me mention three of them. One is the pandemic. For the last 2 years and more, we've gone through this difficult period that has, of course, had an impact in cybersecurity with an increase of attacks, with everybody going to work at home, and also with an impact on the type of attacks, like we had also espionage, phishing, so it has been an important element. Second, of course, is the current war of aggression of Russia over Ukraine, where we have seen also the type of cybersecurity events adapting to these circumstances. I will mention a bit more afterwards. The third element that is very important as well is the economic situation that derives from the other two. It's never good times for cybersecurity when economy is not at its best, because of course the threat actors can take advantage of this, and also because it is very important to invest in cybersecurity, and as we know, this is not always seen as the priority. Now, what are the type of attacks that we are seeing right now? If we look at the targets, we see a lot of attacks to public administrations, including local and regional, a lot to health institutions and hospitals. And in terms of attacks, we have, on the one hand, ransomware attacks, and on the other hand, we have a huge increase, in fact, of hacktivism, as we call it. So these are hacktivists basically supported or supporting Russia in this war of aggression. Of course, the type of targets are often different. For ransomware, normally the target are institutions that will be very much willing or under a huge pressure to give money because the data they are handling is very sensitive. And here again, it can be hospitals, for example, or other administrations that deal with sensitive data. And then if we look at hacktivism, it's often like governments and public institutions that are the target, and normally we are having type of denial of services attack that create more nuisance that's something at least for the moment. So all these events are having an impact in our cybersecurity policy. How is this? I would mention three elements. I don't dare to call them lessons learned, but we have now suddenly realize the importance of a number of things. I would say, first of all, the importance of early detection. Second, the real importance of protecting critical infrastructure. Third, the urgent need to reduce the vulnerabilities and reduce the surface of attack. And then I would mention also the need of cooperation between the public and the private sector, in particular in situations of crisis. Finally, I will mention also the importance of international cooperation. And let me tell you what are the policy initiatives that we have in each of these fields. In the field of early detection, right now we are running a very big project that has as objective to interconnect the different security operating centers of the member states, creating what we call network of SOCs that are going to exchange information among themselves, to use machine learning tools to deal with the data, and like that increase the level of information and shorten the time when we detect threats or even incidents. We may, we are analyzing this, introduce this big project into a legislative initiative that will come later on this year. A second element that I was mentioning was the absolute importance of protecting our critical infrastructure. We saw in the early days of the war of aggression the attack against Viasat and the implication that this had. We have seen the attack to Nord Stream. That was not a cyber attack, but we all think it could have been. So I think that we all realize that cyber attacks is not something that happen there in the air, that it can have a very strong physical impact. And this is why we are doing a lot in the field of protecting critical infrastructure. Of course, now we have our Network and Information Security Directive, NIS2, that has just entered into force. And here what we have done, of course, is to increase the scope of this directive so that more and more sectors are obliged to take cybersecurity measures, including crisis management measures. And we have, for example, extended it to manufacturing or to the public administration, which was not covered before. But we have also started a number of actions backed and requested by the Council on coordinated risk assessment. So together with the Member States, we are assessing what are the sectors that could be at risk of cyber attacks, sensitive sectors, important sectors for the economy. And we are doing this together with Member States. A number of sectors have been identified, like telecommunications, space, transport, energy. And the Council has adopted a recommendation on the protection of this critical infrastructure. Then let me move to the next field. I was mentioning the importance of reducing the number of vulnerabilities. Today, most cyber attacks, I would say all of them except for phishing, come from the exploit of vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities are in connected devices or in software, most of the time, in software. And this means that today, software and other products with digital elements are being put in the market with these vulnerabilities. And I can tell you that in more than half of the cases, the developer or the manufacturer knows perfectly that there are vulnerabilities. So what can we do about it? We have come with a legislative proposal. It's called the Cyber Resilience Act, where we propose to mandate to manufacturers, to developers, that they cannot put any product in the European market if it has not gone through a cybersecurity check, and it will not get the CE stamp if it has not been done. There will be also obligations to provide patches to assist during the life cycle of the product. It's a very, very ambitious proposal. It is currently being negotiated between the Council and the Parliament. And we think that this is absolutely necessary because today manufacturers don't have the incentive to take measures to protect the products because they know that the users are not going to appreciate it because they don't have the knowledge to appreciate it. Also because when there is a cyber attack, the costs are not on the manufacturers, the costs are always on the users. So there is no incentive. We really need to go ahead with this proposal. Let me come almost to the end now with the importance of public and private cooperation in case of large-scale cyber attack. We have seen it in the case of Ukraine. The private sector is playing a huge role in supporting the Ukrainians to protect their infrastructures, to recover when there is a cyber attack. And we think that the same should happen if there is a large-scale cyber attack in the European Union. We should make sure that we have private resources available, that we can mobilize and reserve capacities of cybersecurity companies to be deployed in case of cyber attack. We are assessing currently the need to come with a legislative proposal to promote this type of cyber reserve mechanism. And last but not least, I will simply mention that, of course, it is of extreme importance to have international cooperation with our like-minded partners. We had very recently a cyber dialogue with the United States where we are strengthening our cooperation, and we should move on and do this also, of course, with other like-minded countries. And I'm going to leave it here. I hope that you have a very good event. I'm sorry I cannot be there, but I hope that this video can enlighten you a little bit. Thank you very much.
Grazie. Molto interessante anche questo intervento della direttrice del Dipartimento di DG Connect for Digital Society Innovation and Cybersecurity, in particolar modo perché ha dato un quadro che è oltre la direzione politica e anche di quello che abbiamo visto succedere in Ucraina, quello che sono stati gli attacchi ai sistemi di Viasat nella fase di invasione da parte del governo russo del territorio ucraino, quelli che sono gli elementi che ci aspettano e che ci attendono di qui a breve. Ancora una volta vediamo come Parlamento europeo e European Commission siano perfettamente allineati sulle strategie che poi inevitabilmente gli Stati membri dovranno applicare, quindi anche l'Italia dovrà applicare.